Charles M. Schulz. You won't believe what happened next. The man who drew a simple, round-headed kid for half a century, who never missed a day, picked up the phone in December 1999, heard a few words, and broke down in tears. "It's over," he told his family. For months, he'd hidden the tremor in his hands, the blur in his vision, and the diagnosis no artist wants to hear. And right there, in that quiet studio, Charles M. Schulz realized he couldn't draw another line. The world's most beloved comic would end not with a punchline, but with a goodbye. Charles M. Schulz didn't come from glitz or money. He was born on the 26th of November, 1922, in Minneapolis, the only child of Carl, a soft-spoken barber, and Dina, who kept the family together through lean years. An uncle tagged him with the nickname Sparky after a comic strip horse, and it fit. Cartoons felt like destiny from the start. The Great Depression hit hard. The family bounced around, including 2 tough years in Needles, California, where everything felt strange and a little scary. That gnawing fear of losing everything, of being the odd one out, would one day become the soul of Charlie Brown. Back in Minnesota, there was one friend who made life brighter. A black and white dog named Spike, who ate nails and tacks like a sideshow act and somehow walked away fine. At 14, Sparky sent a drawing of Spike to Believe It or Not, and it was printed. Imagine that your first real validation, right there in ink. But childhood doesn't spare anyone. Spike died after being hit by a car, and the grief carved a permanent line in Sparky's heart. Years later, a certain beagle named Snoopy would rise from that memory, goofy, brave, endlessly alive. School wasn't the triumphant montage you'd expect. Sparky was advanced 2 grades, which only made him smaller than everyone else, and a target for bullies. He flunked classes, got drawings, rejected by the yearbook, and learned a brutal truth. Success doesn't guarantee love, and effort doesn't get applause. That ache, the feeling you're trying your best and still striking out, became the heartbeat of Charlie Brown. And then came a loss that changed him forever. His mother, Dina, died of cancer in 1943, just days before he shipped out for World War II. He'd promised her, "We'll get a dog when I come back." In a way, he kept that promise with Snoopy, the dog who could do anything except stop time. War hardened his edges. Charles M. Schulz served with an armored division in Europe, arriving at Dachau the day after its liberation. He rarely spoke about it, but you can feel it in the strip. The quiet courage, the loneliness that shows up when the room is full, the humor that keeps you afloat when life is heavy. After the war, he graded lessons for an art-by-mail school and kept pitching ideas. One of those early efforts was Lil Folks, a proto-Peanuts, but editors passed, the money was thin, and the dream looked fragile. Then came the break. In October 1950, the world met a small crew. Charlie Brown, Shermie, Patty, and 2 days later, a dog named Snoopy. The title wasn't Sparky's choice. He hated it, actually, but he believed in those kids. Newspapers were slow to warm up, money slower, and the lines were spare to the point of risky. But the rhythm? Magic. No superhero rescues, no loud slapstick, just tiny human truths. Missing a fly ball, losing again, wishing hard, trying anyway. Through the 50 seconds and 60 seconds, the cast grew. Lucy set up a 5-cent psychiatric booth and told the truth, sometimes the ugly version of it. Linus, blanket in hand, became the philosopher, the small boy who could quote scripture and still need comfort. That blanket sparked real arguments among parents and experts, and that was the point. Sparky was holding up a mirror. Snoopy quietly stood up on 2 legs one day and never looked back. Suddenly, he was a flying ace, a novelist. Joe, cool, a dreamer who could be anything the panel needed. If Charlie Brown was our vulnerability, Snoopy was the fantasy that helps us survive it. Not everything was applause. Editors pushed back on faith in the strip, Critics claimed he borrowed ideas. Syndicates wanted changes to make it more modern. Sparky's answer? Draw it his way, or don't print it. He refused ghost artists. He protected his characters like family. And when a teacher named Harriet Glickman wrote asking him to include a black child in the wake of a national tragedy, he listened. Enter Franklin, a calm, kind kid who sits with Charlie Brown the way friends should. Some papers protested. Sparky wouldn't budge. Success exploded. Books topped bestseller lists. Holiday specials became traditions. Big licensing deals poured in. But here's the thing. Behind the scenes, the grind was relentless. By the mid-70s, Charles M. Schulz had drawn thousands upon thousands of strips himself. No assistants inking faces, no one filling in backgrounds. Just Sparky. He pushed through exhaustion and a worsening hand tremor that made his lines shakier. Did readers notice? Some did. Did he stop? Not a chance. Love and heartbreak marked his personal life too. The real little red-haired girl was Donna Mae Johnson, the accountant he loved but didn't marry. That quiet heartbreak flickers through Charlie Brown anytime he looks across a room and hopes. Later, Sparky married Jean Schulz, a partner who understood that the work and the man were inseparable. He could be lonely even in a crowd, but at the drawing table he was never alone. Charlie Brown, Snoopy, Linus, Lucy, Peppermint Patty, Woodstock, they were always there. By the 1,990 newspapers were shrinking their comics pages. Deadlines got tighter. Sparky got older. He took his first real vacation after decades, just 5 weeks, and even then, he sent reruns rather than hand over the pen. He signed a deal that made one thing crystal clear. No one else could continue the strip after him. If it ended, it would end with him. And then 1,999. A surgery meant to fix one problem revealed another. Cancer. Complications followed, and those hands that had drawn 17,897 strips over nearly 50 years couldn't do the thing they'd always done. Imagine that moment. The studio, the pen, the realization. That's the phone call. That's the tears. It's over. In December, Charles M. Schulz told the world he had to retire. In an interview, he choked up. All those mornings at the board, all those kids in those little panels, gone in an instant. He signed the final strip like a love letter and whispered about Charlie Brown never kicking that football a lifetime of trying, wrapped up in one bittersweet image. February 2000. He went ice skating with his daughter on the 11th. The next night, February 12, he died peacefully in his sleep. The following morning, the last Sunday comic already scheduled hit the papers. Snoopy sat at a typewriter and began with "Dear Friends," thanking everyone for loving these characters. It felt impossible and perfect at the same time, like the universe had timed the curtain call.